100 million voices. Underscore 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 un. 1. The feast was brilliantly lit, and the crystal chandelier reflected countless broken gold-like lights. Ruan Chuan sat in the main seat with a cold face, his black suit was cut coldly, his lips were like knives, and his eyes were sharp as if he was about to split people. Everyone said that he, a business tycoon, was ruthless, paranoid, morbid, and had a shameful secret, a nervous breakdown. And tonight, he announced his fiancée, a little mute. The crowd was in an uproar. No one expected that this man, whom everyone avoided, would choose the little-known girl. Shi Ting was wearing a light blue dress and stood quietly beside him. Her lips were tightly closed, and her eyes were clear, like a silent lake. At the quiet moment of the audience, a childish but bright voice suddenly came from Ruan Chuan's ears. What the hell? Is this me? So many people are staring, so nervous. Ruan Chuan stiffened, and his fingers almost didn't break the champagne glass. Underscore 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 un. 2. Calm down, don't panic, this is just a formality, anyway, it will end soon, the voice continued to ring in his head, extremely clear. Ruan Chuan's eyebrows twitched. He looked around with a cold face, only to find that no one was talking. Auditory hallucinations? His nervous breakdown has finally deteriorated to this extent? Shitting lowered his eyes and didn't dare to look at people. She was silently cheering herself up in her heart. Listen when you come on, the task on the first day must go smoothly, and what you say in your heart is practice. I want to make up 100 million sentences and restore my voice as soon as possible. Ruan Chuan suddenly turned his head and looked at her. And she just lowered her head and said nothing. Underscore 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 un. 3. After the engagement banquet, the two were arranged to sit in the car. The carriage was so quiet that we could hear each other's breathing. Ruan Chuan said coldly, "Did you speak just now?" Shi Ting blinked and shook his head. But Ruan Chuan heard another voice in his head. It's over, he doubts me. But I can't speak, it's so exciting. Ruan Chuan has blue veins on the back of his hand. He pressed his eyebrows coldly, and brainwashed himself frantically in his heart, auditory hallucinations, auditory hallucinations, auditory hallucinations. All of this is a disease. Underscore 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 un. 4. From that day on, Ruan Chuan fell into a strange daily life. As long as he was present, it was like a radio station was installed in his mind, and a voice would be inserted at any time. At the breakfast table, while drinking coffee, he suddenly heard. This croissant is so fragrant, I really want to eat one more, but will it be too expensive? With a shake of his hand, the coffee was half spilled on his collar. In the conference room, he gave orders in a cold voice, and suddenly sounded. These uncles' faces are so serious, so scary. They. Pen snapped. At night, he endured insomnia and tossed and turned, but he heard. I said more than 400 words today, and I am still away from 100 million. 100 million. He. Ruan Chuan covered his face. Underscore 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 un. 5. Shi Ting thought that life would go on like this. She spoke silently in her heart, accumulating voice points. He took it as an auditory hallucination and gritted his teeth and endured it. Until one day, she whispered in her heart. Although he is fierce, his eyes are very beautiful, like stars in the dark night. Ruan Chuan was stunned. At that moment, a crack was knocked open in a frozen corner of his heart. But he was even more afraid. If this is not an illusion, then what is she? 6. Ruan Chuan began to wonder if he was crazy. These days, every time he sees it, he listens, and there will inevitably be auditory hallucinations. In the conference room, he was seriously discussing the investment case with shareholders. Suddenly, a voice came out of my mind. This table is so big, my legs are so cold to sit here. Ruan Chuan's file shook, and everyone thought he was angry, and it was instantly quiet. When he returned to the villa in the evening, he was grading the report, but he heard. So sleepy, but I can't sleep. and I have to say in my heart that today's goal. He threw away the pen and slammed up and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window. Late at night, thousands of homes were lit up, but he felt trapped in some kind of madness. Seven. And Shi Ting was completely unaware. She only knew that the talking counter in her head was increasing little by little. I said 800 more words today. It's a little closer to 100 million. She cheered in her heart. He Ruan had just picked up the red wine, and when he heard this, he almost choked. He stared at her. Are you really not talking? Shi Ting blinked his eyes and shook his head honestly. His heart twitched. Auditory hallucinations are too clear, right? Eight. Once, Shi Ting was arranged to participate in a charity auction with Ruan. The venue was full of celebrities and ladies. She was wearing a white dress and stood quietly in the corner. Suddenly a sentence came out of my heart. This skirt is too tight, my stomach seems to be strangled, and I can't breathe. Ruan shook his hand and took a picture of an outrageously expensive antique vase. The audience gasped. He had a dark face and gritted his teeth in a low voice. Who chose the skirt for you? Shi Ting was stunned for a moment and did not dare to answer. But I panicked. It was the assistant who chose it. I won't pick. He glared at the assistant fiercely, and the assistant trembled all over and almost cried. Nine. Ruan began to adapt to auditory hallucinations. He would tell the kitchen in advance to put less chili peppers, because Shitting complained in his heart that eating spicy food would hurt his throat. He would prepare blankets for her because she had said in her heart that it would be cold at night. Gradually, Shi Ting felt that this ruthless overlord seemed to be not as scary as the legend. He is actually very careful, but his face is too stinky. Ruan has a stinky face, right? Ten. Late one night, Ruan suffered from insomnia again. He stared at the ceiling, and a voice suddenly came from his mind. If only he could be cured. His heart shook. This sentence is not like a broken thought, but more like a, honestly. For a moment, he felt that this auditory hallucination was no longer torture, but a kind of companionship. ___________________________________________________________________________________________________________ She tried to speak to her heart every day, and the numbers climbed little by little. But she didn't expect that once, because she was too engaged, she silently recited a long list in her heart. Ah, why does this person smile so good? My heart is pounding. Ruan happened to approach. He paused, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up with a shallow curve. So what is she like in her eyes? _______________________________________________________________________________________________________________Whatever she was thinking in her heart, he would do something subconsciously. She wanted to eat dessert, so he ordered it to be brought to her. She was afraid of dogs, so he took the puppy on the side of the road elsewhere. Shi Ting was a little confused. It's so strange, how can he always do it just right? Ruan was silent and did not dare to answer. What would she think if she knew that she could hear her voice? ______________________________________________________________________________________________________________________ and he was still a mute. The air instantly solidified. Shi Ting lowered his head and said nothing, but shouted frantically in his heart. Why do you look down on me? When I complete the task, I must speak and make you all dumbfounded. Ruan's face darkened. He slammed the table on the spot and said coldly, this is the person I want to marry, who dares to say more, get out. The audience was silent. Shi Ting raised his eyes and looked at the cold silhouette of his side face, and his heart was hot. underscore 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 un. 14. When he went back that night, Ruan Chuan didn't drink, but he felt very hot all over. His mind was full of listening to his heart. He was so handsome just now. Do I like him a little? His heart beat faster, overwhelming him. He whispered to himself, calm down, Ruan Chuan, you can't go crazy. But the corners of his lips couldn't be suppressed. Underscore 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 un. 15. The speech progress bar that I listened to is getting faster and faster. She was so excited that she almost didn't sleep every day, nagging wildly in her heart. I said 3,000 more words today. It's still away from 100 million a lot. Ruan Chuan was forced to listen with him, his eyelids jumping wildly. One day I couldn't help but explode, can you shut up? Shi Ting was startled, blinked at him, and muttered in his heart. Obviously I didn't say anything at all. Ruan Chuan gritted his teeth, his eardrums were about to explode. Underscore 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 un. 16. This secret finally ushered in a dangerous moment. In a car accident, Ruan Chuan was injured in order to save her and fell unconscious. In the hospital, Shi Ting sat on the edge of the bed, holding his hand tightly. I kept shouting in my heart. Wake up! Don't leave me behind! Miraculously, Ruan Chuan's fingers moved slightly. And he heard the voice clearly in his ears. For the first time, he stopped suspecting auditory hallucinations, but firmly believed that it was her. Underscore 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 un. 17. After waking up, he decided to tempt. You, do you have a lot of words in your heart? Shi Ting was stunned for a moment, his eyes were round. She panicked. It's over, won't he know? Ruan Chuan's heart was hot, but he pretended to be cold. You don't have to be afraid, I won't say it. She blinked, her eyes shining. Underscore 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 un. 18. As the relationship gets closer, the interaction between the two becomes more and more sand-sculptured. Shi Ting shouted in his heart. I want to eat potato chips. In the next second, Ruan Chuan ordered his assistant with a cold face, go buy potato chips. Shouted in my heart. I really want to hug. He suddenly stretched out his hand and wrapped her in his arms. Shi Ting was stunned. Can he read minds? Ruan Chuan was silent, I guess so. Underscore 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 un. 19. The relationship is heating up, but the crisis is not far away. Ruan Chuan's condition was aggravated by interference in the heart. The doctor warned him, if this continues, he may have a nervous breakdown. At night, he stared at her sleeping and felt fear for the first time. What would he do if he lost her? However, Shi Ting whispered in the dream. When I complete the task, I will be able to speak, and I won't have to work hard for him then. Tears blurred his vision. Underscore 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 un. 20. The spring sun is warm and the garden is in full bloom. Shi Ting was wearing a floral skirt and gesturing on the writing board on the grass. Ruan Chuan watched quietly, and suddenly her voice sounded in his mind. It would be nice if such days could last forever. He walked over and reached out to gently clasp her hand. The eyes were rare and gentle, then continue. Shi Ting's heart was shocked, and the corners of his eyes were red. At that moment, her voice value suddenly increased a lot, and the system prompted. Emotional resonance, additional acceleration, progress plus 100,000. Her eyes widened suddenly. Does this mean that she is far from being able to speak? Closer? 21. Shi Ting gradually discovered one thing, her voice sometimes touched the task to accelerate. For example, that time in the garden, she really hoped that she could be with Ruan Chuan for a long time in the future, and the system suddenly exploded with extra points. So she began experimenting. The sun is so warm today, it would be great if I could watch the sunset with him. Progress. Plus 2000. He laughs more healing than coffee. Progress. Plus 5000. She secretly exclaimed in her heart. Could it be? Saying love words is the fastest way to upgrade? Ruan Chuan sat opposite her, and the coffee in his hand suddenly turned sour. Of course, he could hear it clearly, but he could pretend to be calm and purse his thin lips slightly. However, the heartbeat has long been out of control. Underscore 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 un. 22. That night, Shi Ting thought in his heart. I really like him, Ruan Chuan was just about to go back to the study when his steps stopped, and the whole portrait was fixed in place. She continued. But I can't tell him, otherwise he will think I'm clinging, right? Besides, I am still dumb and not worthy of his. At all. His heart was cut by a knife, and he walked back with anger and hugged her into his arms. Whispered, horse, who said you don't deserve it? Shi Ting was stunned, his eyes moistened. She panicked. How does he know what I'm thinking? Ruan Chuan almost showed the filling. Underscore 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 un. 23. The next day, Ruan Chuan decided not to suppress it anymore. He began to intentionally respond to her voice. Shi Ting shouted in his heart. I want to eat ice cream today. He ordered lightly, bring the ice cream. I shouted in my heart. If only he could touch my head. Next second, his big palm fell on the top of her hair and rubbed it gently. I was completely stupid when I heard it. He really knows how to read minds, right? Ruan Chuan raised his eyebrows, and for the first time he felt that it was quite interesting to be exposed. Underscore 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 un. 24. At a business banquet, Shi Ting followed him to attend. She was dressed in a pale gold dress, as beautiful as a quietly blooming flower. Suddenly, she came out of her heart. So many people are staring at him, it's so unpleasant. Ruan Chuan's eyes sank, he directly hugged her waist and whispered in her ear, don't worry, they can't see anything else. Eyes of the audience instantly focused. Everyone's jaws dropped in shock, this legendary ruthless Mr. He actually sprinkled dog food in public. Shi Ting's face flushed red. This is so embarrassing. This is so embarrassing. Ruan Chuan hooked his lips, and for the first time he felt that auditory hallucinations were a sweet gift. Underscore 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 un. 25. However, the contradictions within the He family did not dissipate. A cousin secretly arranged for someone to follow her and listen, trying to catch her. One day, Shi Ting went to buy stationery alone and was suddenly blocked by several strangers. I immediately shouted in my heart. It's over. Someone is following me. Ruan Chuan was having a meeting at the company, and this voice sounded in his mind, and he stood up suddenly, cancel the meeting. Before everyone could react, he had already rushed out the door. Half an hour later, he arrived with his bodyguards, and his cold aura scared them away. Shi Ting was protected in his arms, trembling all over. She muttered in her heart. Fortunately, he came. Ruan Chuan's heart was tugged hard. Underscore 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 un. 26. After the crisis, he began to realize that the relationship could no longer be hidden. He said to the Times, whether you want to or not, I will not let anyone bully you. She looked up in a daze. He whispered in his heart. Such a thing seems to be, it's more exciting than confession. Ruan Chuan almost lost. He leaned close to her ear and whispered, then I'll treat you as a confession. When listening, she screamed in her heart. Why is this person so shameless? But she blushed and was about to bleed. Underscore 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 un. 27. The relationship between the two is getting better and better, but they are also torturing each other more and more. In order to complete the task quickly, Shi Ting thought about it every day as a machine gun. I'm so hungry. Will this dress make you look fat? His eyelashes are so long, I really want to touch them. He is so handsome. Looking at the documents so intently. Ruan Chuan had a splitting headache. But every sentence made his heart hot. One day, he couldn't stand it anymore and pressed her directly on the sofa, gritting his teeth. Shut up, okay? She was stunned, but she screamed in a panic in her heart. It's over. He was so close. Are you going to kiss? Ruan Chuan's breath stagnated. This auditory hallucination is getting worse and worse. Underscore 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 un. 28. He began to wonder if he had also been kidnapped. If one day, he really can't hear her voice, can he bear it? At night, he sat in the study, his fingers clasped on the table, his heart confused. When I was listening in the next room, I said softly in my heart. When I can speak, I want to say thank you to him in the first sentence, and I like him in the second sentence. His eyes instantly moistened, and he laughed at himself in a low voice, so. I can't live without her anymore. Underscore 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 un. 29. On a spring outing, he took her to the beach. Shi Ting stepped on the fine sand, the hem of her skirt was blown up by the sea breeze, and she smiled brightly. She shouted in her heart. If only I could take a photo with him. Ruan Chuan picked up his phone and took a selfie with her for the first time. In the photo, his cold profile and her gentle smile are intertwined, as if they have long belonged to each other. She was excited. I want to put this in the mission memo. He raised his eyebrows, but thought to himself. I don't need a task, I will always remember it. Underscore 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 un. 30. The crisis struck again. The competition for equity in the He family has reached a fierce level, and the opponent even wants to use Shi Tong to force Ruan Chuan to compromise. One night, the villa was attacked. Shi Ting was trapped in the room, and he cried out for help frantically in his heart. Someone broke in. Save me. Ruan Chuan desperately arrived and desperately protected her in his arms. The knife light struck and his arm was cut. Blood was flowing continuously, but he held her head tightly and roared, "Don't be afraid." She burst into tears and shouted frantically in her heart. I don't want the task anymore, I just want him to live. At that moment, the system suddenly rioted, and the numbers beat wildly. Underscore 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 un. 31. In the hospital, Ruan Chuan's injuries were not serious, but the blood loss put him in a coma for 2 days. Listen to every step and stay by the bedside. She repeated in her heart again and again. Wake up, please don't leave my behind. On the 3rd day, he finally opened his eyes. The first thing I saw was her red eyes. Ruan Chuan stretched out his hand and wiped away her tears weakly. Don't cry, I'm still here. She choked up, but her heart exploded. I really love him so much. His eyes were moist, and he held back and whispered, I heard it. Underscore 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 un. 32. At this moment, the secret was completely revealed. Shi Ting's eyes widened, and his heart was confused. What? He can hear it all the time. Ruan Chuan smiled bitterly, yes. From the very beginning, I can hear all your hearts. Her face turned red instantly. Then my previous fragmentary thoughts, isn't everything known by him? She was so ashamed that she wanted to drill a hole in the ground. But Ruan Chuan said in a low voice, thank you, accompany me. Her eyes were red again, but she couldn't help but think of a sentence in her heart. Both shy and happy. Underscore 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 un. 33. Since then, their interactions have completely changed. It is no longer a one-way listening, but a two-way tacit understanding. He will deliberately say, am I handsome today? She held back in her heart. Commander-in-Chief. He hooked his lips, I heard it. She was so ashamed that she covered her face. The days of the two are like talking about a spiritual love anytime and anywhere. Underscore 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 un. 34. However, the system's final mission is about to trigger. The total amount of Ting's invoice has approached 100 million. That night, the system coldly prompted. After completing the task, the host will be given the choice, restore the voice, or permanently maintain the voice connection. She was stunned. Restoring her voice is what she dreamed of. But if she loses her spiritual connection, are you really willing to do it? Underscore 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 un. 35. When she hesitated, Ruan Chuan spoke first. The choice is for you. But regardless of the outcome, I was there. Her tears fell, but she shouted in her heart. Why is he so good? What should I do? The system counts down, and the final choice is approaching. At night, she held his hand tightly and shouted loudly for the last time in her heart. I love you. The number jumped to 100 million, and the light exploded instantly. Her throat trembled suddenly, and she made a clear voice, I love you. Ruan Chuan was stunned, then his eyes turned red, and he hugged her tightly into his arms. I love you too. 36. In the early morning, sunlight poured into the room through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Shi Ting sat on the edge of the bed, her throat still a little hoarse, but she could speak. She spoke cautiously, Ruan Chuan, I can speak. Ruan Chuan sat across from the bed, smiling softer than usual. Well, I heard it. Shi Ting's tears could no longer be controlled and slipped down his cheeks. She shouted in her heart. This is the happiest moment of my life. He stretched out his hand and gently wiped away her tears. Don't be afraid, from now on, I will be by your side. Underscore 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 un. 37. After regaining his ability to speak, Shi Ting was like a small bomb every day, talking non-stop. Today's breakfast is delicious. I dreamed of him laughing last night, so sweet. The color of this dress seems to suit my. Ruan Chuan listened helplessly and excitedly every time, and even learned to prepare her requirements in advance. This kind of sand sculpture sweet pet daily life has become the warmest time for the two of them. Underscore 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 un. 38. However, the real world is never short of challenges. Hostility within the He family is still there, and his business rivals are unwilling to fail and secretly plan to get Shi Ting into trouble. One day, Shi Ting received an anonymous letter threatening that if she did not leave Ruan Chuan, there would be an accident. She turned pale with fright and immediately ran to find him. Seeing this, Ruan Chuan raised his eyebrows like knives, and said in a low voice, whoever dares to touch her, I will smash them. Shi Ting's heart was extremely warm. He has always regarded me as a treasure. Underscore 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 un. 39. The two work together to deal with external threats, and their relationship is more stable. Shi Ting learned to use words to protect himself, and Ruan Chuan no longer suppressed his emotions. One night, she complained in her heart. Why does he keep looking at me? It's so strange. The next second, he leaned directly into her ear. It's strange, because you are in my heart. Shi Ting blushed instantly and almost fell to the ground. She screamed in her heart. Oh my god, he is so shameless, but why am I getting deeper and deeper into? Underscore 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 un. 40. In their daily relationships, they also began to fight each other. Shi Ting, you are really easy to get angry. Ruan Chuan raised his eyebrows. Your heart is too loud, who can stand it? She shouted in her heart. It's too much, he actually told the secret of my heart. He teased, if I had known that you were talking bad about me in your heart, I would have accompanied you every day. Laughter echoed in the room, and the tacit understanding between the two became deeper and deeper. Underscore 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 un. 41. Once on vacation, Shi Tong accidentally stepped on the sand and slipped. Ruan Chuan picked her up and muttered in a low voice, don't move anymore. Her heart exploded instantly. This hug, it's so happy. But he still tried to pretend to be angry, you are too careless.
A smile curled up on the corner of his mouth. Then do you like my carelessness? This kind of interaction of coquettishness and teasing has become a sweet daily life between the two. Underscore 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 un. 42. Back in the city, Juan's business crisis has reached its final stage. The opponent finally came to the door and tried to buy the company's shares at a high price and threatened to do so. Shi Ting shouted in his heart. Don't let him get hurt. Chuan clenched his fists and said coldly, whoever dares to touch her, even if I am bleeding all over the ground today, I will keep her. The atmosphere in the conference room was condensed, and everyone held their breath. In the end, the opponent was overwhelmed. Chuan successfully kept the company and also guarded Shi Ting. Underscore 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 un. 43. After their relationship gradually stabilized, the two began to explore everyday happiness. Shi Ting likes to cook, and he helps cut vegetables next to him. Shi Ting liked to draw, so he sat quietly aside and admired it. Shi Ting was in a bad mood, so he silently sent a cup of hot tea. The blend of heart and action makes the relationship between the two extremely strong. Underscore 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 un. 44. At a certain party, Shi Ting secretly said in his heart, I want to kiss him here. Chuan's ears moved slightly, he lowered his body directly, picked her up gently, and kissed her on the cheek in front of everyone. I was so ashamed that I couldn't breathe, but I was ecstatic in my heart. Is this love? Underscore 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 un. 45. The interaction between the two became more and more public and became the focus of the circle of friends. Shi Ting likes to play pranks, and he will pretend to be angry. When he is in a bad mood, he will comfort him silently. This spiritual connection becomes the most authentic companionship, allowing each other to feel each other's love without words. Underscore 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 un. 46. The external challenge escalated again. Chuan's ex-girlfriend came back and tried to disrupt the situation. Shi Ting shouted in his heart. Don't touch him. Chuan held her hand and said coldly, she has passed, my heart is only yours. Shi Ting's heart surged with warmth, and tears flashed in his eyes, I know. From then on, she never wavered. Underscore 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 un. 47. Life becomes fun and sweet. When he likes to flirt with him, he pretends to be angry. Chuan occasionally acted coquettishly, and she smiled like sunshine. They are fighting at home, their hearts explode, and the system prompts them again for additional rewards. The two looked at each other, their eyes full of smile and love. Underscore 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 un. 48. In the end, the system prompts that the task is complete. Shi Ting successfully speaks 100 million words. She stood in the sun, took a deep breath, and said to Chuan, thank you for always accompanying me. Chuan took her hand and whispered, no thanks, because I love you too, always I have loved you. Shi Ting shouted again in his heart. We are finally free and can finally be our true selves. Underscore 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 un. 49. The two decided to face the future hand in hand. The company's business is stable, the conflicts of the He family have dissipated, and the external turmoil has subsided. They began to plan small days, weekend outings, dinner dates, morning runs, reading, chatting, and each other became indispensable in life. Shi Ting whispered in his heart. Finally, I can talk to him without making a sound, but I still want to maintain this connection. Chuan felt her heart, approached gently, and whispered, needless to say, I understand.
underscore 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 un.
50. Finale. A year later, spring bloomed. Shi Ting smiled brightly in the sun. She was no longer mute, and her voice was crisp. He Ruan Chuan looked at her gently from the side, his heart full of steadfastness and love. The two held hands and walked across the grass, silently muttering in their hearts. Love you, more than 100 million times. The system prompt sounds softly. Host mission completed, reward, love is permanently bound. They looked at each other and smiled, and everything around them was the most gentle happiness. The story ends in sunshine, laughter, and heartbeat. True happiness does not lie in the sound or the number, but in each other, always together.